Welcome back to the Quantum Podcast with myself, Ethan Morland, where I aim to speak to high performers about the hows and the whys behind what they do and break it down with them. On today's episode, I have Elliott Rayne on the podcast, who is a crypto and blockchain developer from England. And this is a really interesting conversation in my eyes because we spoke at a time where the owner of FTX, a trading platform based in the US, Sam Bankman-Fried, had just been arrested in the Bahamas for scamming customers out of billions and billions of dollars, which had given crypto this really, really bad name and put it in a really bad place. So when Elliott came on, we spoke about the good, the bad, and the ugly sides of crypto. We spoke about the what not to do in crypto. And we also spoke about things such as regulation. Should crypto be more regulated? I gave my side of it, he gave his side of it. And yeah, we just all things business as well. So his processes over the years, as he's developed himself, as he's built these businesses such as cryptodevelopers.io, which is a learning platform as well as a blockchain development platform. We also spoke about his habits to keep himself at the top of his game. So we talked about things such as his fitness routine, how he actually only works 3 days a week, even given as successful as he is, which was really interesting in my eyes because obviously people push at you this 24/7 lifestyle if you want to be successful, but Elliott really preaches that obviously you need to rest, and to be your best you have to rest. So it was really interesting to speak to him, and I had a really good time speaking to him about his businesses and his life. So thanks, Elliott, for coming on, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you. Elliott, welcome to the Quantum Podcast. How's it going, mate?
I'm good, mate. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm all good. So do you want to tell people a bit about yourself and what you do? Because I think what you do is very interesting and very topical as of now with what's been going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks. First of all, thanks, Ethan, for having me on the podcast. I love doing these, and it gives me a chance to, I suppose, give you a little bit of an overview into my crazy life. But yeah, I'm the founder of Rayne Enterprise Holdings. We're a company made up of multiple different entities, all targeting the same niche, which is blockchain and the doom word cryptocurrency. So yeah, we've got multiple companies within the business. We have an education company, which is effectively the thing that I started. I think it was about 2017. The first one within the whole array of companies that we've got. Blockchain education. We have a development company for blockchain, recruitment company, and a venture capital sort of arm to the company as well. So lots to talk about, and yeah, I'm excited to share with you.
Classmate. I want to start really with how you got into cryptocurrency because you're 22, I'm right, or 23?
23.
23, yeah. So you're the same age as me. And you seem to have been into cryptocurrency for quite a while. So how did you get into that?
So I come from a tech family. So my dad was always in cloud computing, 5G. So what happened was I was sort of born into an environment where technology was the norm, right? We was talking about technology day in, day out. It was what's the latest and greatest for your birthday, for Christmas. I remember when I was 13 one time, and I got I got like loads of sort of birthday money or whatever you get in the cards, and my old man sold me a TV, and I was literally like my entire birthday fund had gone, and he was like, "Well, what lesson have you learned now?" I was like, "Well, now I have just a TV," you know. But yeah, but even so, that was great. But like you say, I come from a family that have background in tech, and so what happened was really I came straight out of school, tried and failed at a lot of businesses, which I'm sure we'll get onto as well. And then what happened was I kind of fell in love with technology and with blockchain specifically. I was researching this when I was about 16. I was researching a little bit more about cloud computing, about I think it was 3G or 4G at the time. I can't remember. And I just fell in love with technology. And what happened was it literally said at the side, it said people also search for blockchain. So me, at the time, like I fell in love with blockchain before I knew anything about crypto. which is the difference between a lot of people that get into our industry. They fall in love with NFTs, they fall in love with cryptocurrency, and what happens is that blinds them to actually what is a fantastic technology that's going to revolutionize a lot of industry, and that's separate from crypto. So what happened was I went down months, if not, I'd probably say 6 months of just learning. I wrote out multiple documents that were 100,000+ characters about blockchain, why it has value, why people should sort of give a shit. And I got to a point, I'd say a year down the line when I was like 17. At that point, while I was still sort of going through that learning phase, I was trying everything. I had jobs at the time, but ultimately I got to a point when it was 17 or whatever, and I got a year's kind of learning under my belt without trying to sell anyone anything or go out as a coach or whatever that may be. It was just raw learning because of an extended interest in the project, in the technology, should I say. So what happened was, sorry?
Go on. I was just going to ask, so what is blockchain for those who may not know, just so people can get a grasp of what it is and, why it's this new and upcoming technology?
So all blockchain is, and I'll get into the practical application of it, is data, right? So what happens is so let me give you an example. If there's two parties involved that want to send, it can either be a transaction or it can be data. What happens is from party A to party B, there's a certain transaction that happens. So they would say, I want to send $100 to party B. What then happens is that transaction gets broadcasted amongst what we call nodes in the network. And what nodes are is computers that are validating that transaction is not fraudulent, that it's not it's not bad for the network. And once all them computers agree, then it gets stored as a block in the blockchain, and then party B receives their currency or their crypto or whatever. Now, it's not just that's a practical application. That's transactions, right? But you can use blockchain for many different things when it comes to storing of data, because once the block has sort of encrypted that data and stored it on the blockchain, you've now got a record of a transaction or of something that's happened. It could be, for example, supply chain management, right? So you may create a blockchain for the milk that came from the cow right the way through to when the consumer's actually drinking the milk, right? So what you've got then is you've got a data storage records, should I say, or let's say like a roadmap of where it's come from, and you can validate each step of the process using the blockchain because it's encrypted, it's public data, and you can't tamper with that information. There are issues around hacks and stuff that when things are not set up correctly or that the networks are too small. But ultimately, it's a lot more secure than, for example, a cloud database or whatever that may be. But we're going through that stage right now where I was listening to a talk earlier this week, and it's fantastic how he put it. But what happened was he was saying that what we are right now is we're in that building blocks phase. So we're building the train tracks for the train that's effectively going to leave the station right now. But what a lot of people are doing right now is focusing on building the shops, the hotels at the end of the train line that make some money, right? But right now we're in that infrastructure phase. So we're building traction, we're building technology. And effectively in the future, what's going to happen is once them tracks are laid, everyone's going to get on the train, and then people are going to make money at the other end with commerce and with the hotels or whatever they choose to sell at the other end, right? So right now it's that building phase where technology is just developing,
So the way I sort of see crypto and blockchain and everything like that is, like you said, it's like a railway where the track hasn't yet been built properly. So there's all these
Yeah.
cities. Probably the best example is Australia. There's all these cities dotted across the country with very little to connect them in terms of on the land. Like, it's so hard to get between places. And I think with blockchain and all that sort of stuff, it's at the minute, it's very hard to get, one thing to another, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's I suppose physical. There are a lot of cool projects that are going on. I was involved in one actually, like smart cities projects, so connecting cities together using technology, things like Internet of Things, using blockchain to store and sort of distribute that data. So there's loads and loads of cool stuff going on, but in terms of like an analogy for where we are right now, it's an infrastructure game. Like whoever's building the best technology that's user friendly and allows people to use it easily is winning right now.
From obviously crypto, you've created this larger agency sort of, well, enterprises. These larger enterprises, which obviously have different smaller businesses to do with crypto and to do with blockchain. But you obviously didn't start out in crypto and blockchain. So where did you start in terms of as an entrepreneur?
So came out of school. I have sort of ADHD, so I say I tend to need to put my brain to focus to something, otherwise it just wanders. And what happens is, I came out of school. I did like a college sort of like 6 week. It was like a 2 year trailblazer thing I did with the coffee company. But cut a long story short, I ended up doing it finishing it in 6 weeks because of my ability to sort of hyper focus. What happened while I was learning, doing all that sort of stuff? I actually started an events company at the time. I had no capital at all. With one of my best friends, we were doing like corporate events, and we were just trying to get money through the door, right? And what happened? What failed with that? We failed with it completely. But it was a great experience. And then what happened was I was able to come away from that with all this experience, not much cash, all this experience, and roll that over into when I founded the first crypto company, which was the education company.
It's quite funny because I spoke to Joe about obviously your events company, EJ Events, and he was saying the way that you came to the decision to do the events business was, how can we start a business without any money? That was the main question. So he told me about how you got it off the ground, how you got your first client and all that sort of stuff. But how did you find it when obviously COVID hit and all of a sudden this business is just non-existent anymore?
So, I mean, for me, so financially at that point, it was okay. The reason why I say that is because we'd both ran other things as well that were able to generate cash at the same time. Now, what happened was with that is we just had to dissolve the company. There was nothing we could really do. The company was not going to be able to operate anymore. And so it was really a transition from, and Joe will probably tell you the same, what he did at his side. It was a transition from, one of the companies we'd been operating to focusing full time on sort of, other endeavors, which for me was the education company, was the crypto education company.
So I feel like you're a kind of person who obviously you have this larger enterprise, but with smaller businesses involved with it. So you seem like a person who doesn't just put all their eggs into one basket. You put them into multiple. So why do you do that? And why is that important to you to not just go for one thing and one thing only?
So let me give you the reason why these companies are structured the way they are. It's not someone just coming out and wanting to build a hotel from day one, building all these companies to look fantastic. There's a strategic and tax efficient way to do this. Okay, when you have multiple different companies, I suppose, under one company. Now, what I did effectively was I got into crypto education 2018. I scaled that up to a point where we're making like 100 grand a month, with multiple people coming onto the program. We've taught over sort of 2,000 people these days to learn about crypto and learn about what it is. And what happened was I quickly realized in 2020 that a lot of the money, I suppose, in the actual game was going into the technology, right? So we were running this education company about, what is crypto and why it has value. But I was then also speaking to a lot of startups, a lot of corporates that were wanting to go from where they are to get into blockchain and take advantage of Web3 and not just be a typical traditional Web2 business. And so what happened was I realized that my time was better placed speaking with these corporates about technology, actually building technology. So what happened was in 2020, I made a transition from the education company, sort of spending all my time creating content all the time, and I ended up giving that to my team. There's a team of 7 that run that now. And I focused 1 hour a week on that company to do the coaching call weekly, right? Now, what happened was in 2020, I was having all these major conversations, and a lot of these companies were coming to me and they were saying, look, we want to build blockchain, we don't know how to do it. So for me, that was like, number one, it makes me realize there's a major problem in the industry, which is that blockchain talent is just few and far between. And number two, is major opportunity for us, because wherever there's a problem, there's a solution, right? So what happened was I approached a development company, Web2 development company that had been operating for some time. They had a lot of experience with building applications, building technology, you name it, they could do it, right? And they've worked with some really, really big companies in the Web2 world. And basically what happened was I approached them and I said, look, there's a lot of opportunity here in Web3 and building on blockchain. Let me deal with the front end of the business, bringing the clients in. All I need from you guys is for you guys to service these clients. Okay, so we joined forces and created a company called cryptodevelopers.io. So we rank number 1 on Google. We've got over 100 developers in the company, offices in Georgia, Leeds, Mayfair, London. We've got quite a big company now. And what happened was we started building like major solutions for corporates. So, your Facebook, Samsung, Intel, Dell, Invisible Friends in the crypto world, who else? The Lofts, Anybody's, which are all like big crypto names, Axie Infinity. So what happened was we started working with all these big players, not only in Web3 and crypto, but actually in Web2, about using blockchain technology. And I'm a very fast-paced mover, so I always identify the problems to find the solutions. If things are working, okay, I'll continue throwing the kitchen sink at them until things break, so I can find a way to make them better. Now, what happened was we were getting to a point in 2021 where we scaled that company to 100K a month in less than 6 months, and we'll probably hit 1 million a month next year, I would say. But what happens is a lot of the companies we work with in this space, especially on the more crypto side, we have a fine balance in our company between the companies we build blockchain for, nothing to do with crypto, corporate companies, and the companies that we're building cryptocurrencies for, NFTs for, the more sort of decentralized applications, marketplace, whatever it may be, right? What I realized on the crypto side of the business, which was a major problem, was a lot of these companies don't have capital, right? Because they're not existing businesses that are generating cash. So the main problem, number one problem in the industry, is raising capital. Okay, is raising capital to be able to inject into your company, build technology, hire staff, and build a company that's a new Airbnb or an innovative thing, right? So what we did was, and I positioned myself and went out to many banks, many venture capital funds, started allocating my own money into the market to help these funds, sorry, not these funds, but these startups get off the ground. And what happens with we built these deal flows with these banks and with these venture capital funds, and I got the name as a venture scout, right? So what happens is I'd go out and I'd find companies. I do this today. Find companies that have got promise, that have got a good pitch deck, a good solid business plan, a good team, good technology, and we fund them. Okay, so what happens is we will fund them, whether it's sort of anything from 500 grand right the way up to sort of $100 million, which is effectively like an equity raise. We'll use partners to come into that raise and let them allocate. But then we also started looking at the sort of debt side of things. So we've got partners who can allocate up to like $1 billion a month into companies, okay, and property companies that might be using blockchain and technology, right? Now, what happened is then this is where it all fits together. You kind of get a self-fulfilling ecosystem where our clients come to us as a holding structure. They can learn crypto, they can develop crypto, they can fund crypto. Sorry, if I just start again. So they can learn crypto, they can then fund projects in crypto, they can then develop with projects with crypto with us, right? And then we've got a final company in the group, which is actually the recruitment company. So they can develop the company by using us for the technology. But then what about if they need a CTO or they need more marketing experience? So that's where I went into business with another recruitment company who help us to recruit for these guys as well, and scale the companies. They've got a marketing arm, so they help companies scale through marketing. So effectively what we've got within the companies, and I'll talk about the tax side of things in a moment, is multiple different stations that these clients can go to grow their company, and it becomes an accelerator. Okay. And what happens is we can take them from the point of not knowing anything about blockchain to funding, to developing, to scaling, and they're with us the entire time. We've had multiple companies that come through this system, and we can redistribute profits amongst the holding structure into different companies, which is very tax efficient, very, very, very challenging from an accounting side of things. But it works. So that's us. But the way I see it, and I'm very, very simple at its core, the way I see it is all the companies are targeting the same individual or the same company, right? And the same ICP or ideal customer profile. Tech companies that are using blockchain, Web3 companies using blockchain, whatever, right? That is very, very tunnel vision. So the way I see it, we have multiple companies, but it's only multiple different products, right? And it keeps it very, very simple. So we're not going after multiple different industries, because then your focus is very, very split. It's laser focus on the same customer, but we're giving them different solutions throughout their life cycle, which increases their customer value to us, but it increases the amount of time they spend with us as well,
There's so much going on in this business. It's like I feel like you've got every single base covered. But to take it back to the beginning, where did you get your first client? How did you get your first client? And how did you manage to persuade someone to go with you with their business to obviously help develop them? Or even just to, in terms of the crypto development for the teaching people about it all, how did you get those first clients in?
I can't even remember. It's probably a bit, not good of me, but I can't even remember the first client I got. I think it comes down to the three principles that I follow when it comes to business. I think number one is sort of integrity. So never promising something you can't deliver on. So having that integrity behind everything I do to a high standard. Excellence. So being head and shoulders above every competition. And obviously trustworthy as well, right? So they're the values that I carry day to day with me. And any client I speak to, and even back in the day when I spoke to clients and prospects or whatever, I don't do any sales now. It's all the sales team. But back in the day, what I did was I would go out, I would meet them, conversation, coffee, work out their goals, and then I'd come back with a solution. But what I did is the solution would be not underselling it, but it'd be a very, very win-win offer for this client, right? So that to the point that it almost couldn't go wrong. So I was saying, look, if this doesn't get delivered this way, I can contractually say to you that you get your money back, okay? And that was the way I did it. I removed the risk for this client, and eventually over time prices got larger. The risk reversal is still there to make sure that everyone's happy and they're getting what they need and they feel comfortable. But maybe I wouldn't take the same risks that I did back then, because there's a lot of scrutiny around guarantees and things. Or maybe you didn't cross an eye there, so I want to. So I don't really do any of that anymore. But I feel for anyone that's starting out, you need to, if you are selling something that ultimately provides most of the risk on the client, you need to de-risk that. If I'm making an investment in a company, I look for multiple different things in that company that de-risk that investment for me, that gives me low downside and high upside. And that's how I operate with anything. So you need to put yourself in your customer's shoes to understand what gets them out of bed and how you can de-risk any potential financial commitment for them.
You say about the low downside, high upside, but you're in an industry where there can be a lot of downside and very little upside if you get it wrong. So how do you get people to, put their money into these things where we've seen with, Terra Luna, we've seen with FTX recently, things can just plummet in a matter of minutes. And there's, people like I myself, I'll be honest, with the whole Terra situation, I lost multiple thousand and it was absolutely heartbreaking. So how do you get people to put this money into these different things?
So I'm always really real, right? So there's a few things I can't control, and things like FTX, things like Terra, I physically cannot control them. You can forecast them, and potentially, I dare even say, you can forecast them, but you probably can't, because anyone that knows enough, I would say, or delves enough into it, may be able to, but not the average person who's just got a crypto portfolio. So I say you can't forecast it, but there are people that have. Now, what I would say is, for my role, it's not about, especially on the crypto side of things in the education company, my role isn't about telling you need to do this, okay? Because ultimately, any person we work with, they've already made that mental transition in their mind that this is something I want to do. I've seen a lot about it online. All we're doing is providing a bridge between where they are and where they want to be. That's not me saying to you, I'm going to change your environment. And, if you pay me, I don't know, £100,000 for a week, I can sit down with you for a week and I can change your environment quite easily, right? Very, very easily. But if we're providing education to people, I'm not there to lift and shift your house or lift and shift you. I'm there to give you the bridge, and you put in the work, right? Now, that's just the crypto side of things. So for me, this market is very unpredictable. Of course it is. We operate in a market right now, and we operate in an industry right now that's very, very infant. Okay, so what happens is you look at the dot-com era, there was many people raising capital, many people lost money, many people made money. We had a lot of large companies, the largest companies on the planet come out of that. Okay, so for me, in my industry, it's all about, making sure you de-risk it for yourself by being diversified. If you are investing in the world of crypto, I probably lost $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in a day on Luna as well, right? It's quite heartbreaking. I'm not superhuman in this space,
to say the least,
but what
mate.
I did have, I lost a lot of money on that too, right? But what I did have in place, which is what a lot of people miss, is hedging, is having diversification amongst multiple different assets. That meant that $50,000 or whatever, I don't even know what the number was, I'd made far more elsewhere to even care. It felt like I drank a coffee, but I'd lost 50 grand. It felt like I'd spent it on a coffee because, and that's not to belittle certain things, but because other things have been hedged and diversified and invested in, that made it insignificant as an investment. And I wasn't over leveraged in that investment. Okay, which really, really is the key. Now, again, when it comes to the investment side of things, yes, really cool. I've done it all. I've traded things. I've invested things. I only, invest in things long term now because it's companies running. But ultimately, it comes back down to that in business. A lot of people will put all their eggs in one basket. Okay. Now, there's actually a contrary to what I'm saying here, because I'm a firm believer in, if you are starting out, you should have one product and one product only. Okay, and sell that and get cash flow. But there's also a problem when it comes to, if you're starting a company and you're putting all your eggs into a basket that may fall down, or if I were putting all my eggs into the crypto world basket, which can very easily change overnight, I didn't have any skin in the technology, which is growing, as we know, market, that would be my fault, okay? Because I would take responsibility. If the crypto market come down, I lose 80% of not only my investments, but 80% of my revenue over 6 months because no one's interested in crypto anymore. That's no one's fault apart from mine, okay? So that's why we don't just help don't just help crypto companies with blockchain. We help the technology companies that are wanting to leverage blockchain to get into blockchain and utilize it effectively to increase their bottom line revenue that they may already be spending elsewhere on servers, etc. Right? That's very, very powerful, because that has nothing to do with crypto at all. Crypto can fall down and come off planet Earth, but blockchain still lives, okay? And our company still grows, it still flourishes.
So why
diversification.
Why do the two become so interchangeable? Like, if you, I feel like in general population, if you think about blockchain, it's crypto. That's just how it is. Why is that?
So what you got to think about is blockchain is the pan, right? So blockchain and crypto. So blockchain can operate without crypto. Crypto cannot operate without blockchain, right? So blockchain is the pan. Crypto is the egg, right? So you can't fry the pan with the egg, right? You probably try, but you can fry the egg with the pan, right?
Yep.
Now, what you got to take into account is blockchain. The pan still survives without the egg. The egg doesn't get made into a fried egg without the pan, okay? Unless you try weird stuff, but whatever. Now, the idea is that blockchain and crypto is a practical application of blockchain. I can go into a company and I can take blockchain and I can say, okay, well, you guys are using cloud right now for your data storage. How can we utilize blockchain that's going to spread up all that different data into multiple nodes in the network, making the security larger, okay, by using, you know, the blockchain itself, and also your transparency to customers, to internal resources looking at the actual data and being able to access it and make it more accessible, which is going to cut your cost by X amount, or maybe you increase your capabilities by X amount and increase your revenue. Nothing to do with blockchain, nothing to do with crypto, sorry. That's everything to do with blockchain. I'm not going into them saying, right, okay, listen, guys, I've got a massive cryptocurrency coin or project, and, you know, that this is going to help your company operate. No, I mean, there are applications where I can go into a company, I can give them I can say, well, I'll create an NFT that's a Nectar card, and you're going to be paid out in rewards, and we're going to use NFTs. Cool, really, really good. But what about if crypto comes down? Where does that leave that blockchain sort of arm to the company? They need to have this blockchain infrastructure. This is big company talking. You know, I deal with a lot of corporate clients, and they're not interested in crypto. They're interested in blockchain. Okay, crypto's the sexy side of blockchain.
They're interested in the deep end technology of it, not what's at
Exactly.
the face of it. So I want, just before we move on from like this, you know, whole crypto thing, what's your opinion on these YouTubers and people like that who are selling coins to people with sometimes misinformation, sometimes too little information, obviously to benefit themselves, and then
Yeah.
eventually people lose money, they make money. What is your opinion on that?
So I have a lot of YouTuber friends, like a lot of people in Dubai, which do YouTube full time. That's their way to make money, and I'm happy with that. You know, I'm happy that they're doing that. I have my own opinions, and I would never judge anyone for doing that, because you got to do what you got to do. Plus, you know, who are you to know? If you're a content creator and you're getting approached, you know, with people saying, "I'll give you 10 grand for a feature," or whatever, 20, 30 for a 5-minute video. Some of them do due diligence and say no. I like a lot of those guys, and you know, a lot of my friends do that I work with on this stuff, and I see that stuff. But you see a lot of these guys who will just take any paycheck. Okay, this is specifically the reason why I probably stayed off of YouTube. You know, if we wanted to have a channel with 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 subscribers on YouTube, we very, very easily could. Okay. But having an audience like that, it becomes very, very consuming. You end up making content all the time, and you spend less time thinking about the technology and where it's going. And you become a lot more pro YouTube than pro blockchain. Not a blanket. Not everyone's like this. I've got a few friends that are fantastic, but what happens is you just look for the paycheck. You look to get paid on YouTube, and that's it. Now, I think that's wrong, and the reason why that is because, like you said, a lot of people that are going to YouTube as a source of information then take that as Bible, and then what they do is they invest in these projects. Now, I think this is a two-way problem. I think, number one, if someone goes to YouTube and invests in a project that an influencer has said buy, they are fucking absolutely stupid. And the reason why I say that is because they need to take responsibility for that investment. It's no one's problem that they've taken their own initiative to invest in something off the back of something else. They can't blame anyone. It's their fault, majorly their fault, because they should be doing their own research. They should be looking at these things online that give them the resources to be able to debug if something's a scam. They should be learning about tokenomics, should be learning how to read white papers, and they can debug it themselves in an hour if it's a scam. And then all they're doing is leveraging YouTube to help their narrative that they've built up in their mind. Okay, for me, YouTubers are not really doing anything wrong. They're getting a big paycheck, yes, okay, and I do disagree with a lot of it. And I've seen how it works. Marketing companies, they just pay these influencers. They say, shill it, get people in the community. They then sell their ICO, they then sell the NFT, and it's a self-fulfilling cycle, right? So my opinion on it personally is I stay away from it, and the reason why that is because my day-to-day is learning, you know, more about the blockchain and practical application and changing the world with it than creating videos about it. Okay, so yeah, it's a double-edged sword, I would say. But then equally, those YouTubers that are coming into the scene and the thing that really frustrates me, and I see it a lot, is you get these YouTube channels who sort of, they'll blanket themselves as like, it's all about investments and education or whatever, and entrepreneurship, and they talk about nothing to do with crypto or anything for like the whole year or 2 years that we're in a bear cycle, and then the moment they get a little sniff, then they just take all the advertising budgets from companies and become this crypto guru. They'll change the banner on their crypto to crypto, and they'll be a crypto god for like 6 months to a year, right? That's wrong, and the reason why I say that is because they're not going through the tough times as a crypto YouTuber as well in the blockchain world. They're just jumping on the bandwagons and the hypes, you know. We saw it with, and bearing in mind, I like Gary Vee. I think he's very good, but he's a marketer, right? And then he became this crypto mogul overnight about NFTs, all this sort of stuff. And we don't really hear much about it anymore because the market's down. And I'm sure it'll be back. I'm sure a lot of them, the other ones will be back. I think that's very bad for the space and very poisoning. But ultimately, my view on it is anyone that gets hurt from watching YouTube videos, it's their responsibility.
I think it, like you said, it is quite poisoning for the space, because what really pisses me off more than anything is when people all of a sudden now care about crypto and make out that crypto is the be all and end all of life, and then all of a sudden it's a bear market and they don't want anything to do with it.
Exactly.
I think it really puts it in a bad space, and until that is resolved, I think that we then come into a bit of an issue where every single time there's a bear market, it goes back to square one again.
Exactly. And ultimately, the way I see it is every single time we have this bear market, the technology doesn't stop. The better projects that stay around, it continuously stays the same. Now, what happens with the way that the market operates is things become like severely overvalued, and then they become severely undervalued, right? And that's because of supply and demand, fear and greed, manipulation of the market. But the actual technology of these good companies doesn't stop. Now, the caveat to that, once again, is the companies that are ready for the markets to come down, have enough reserves to withstand. Companies that are not ready, so for example, it was more of a crook thing, was the Luna thing, but companies that aren't ready for it, they get demolished by the market, because you get companies that are. I was looking at Sandbox. I can't remember their. They're great. I was with Sandbox this week on Monday in London, but their market capitalization was like over $9 billion or something. Now it's about $1 billion. So they lost like 90% of the value or whatever. Companies have got to be ready for doing that. They've got to have enough cash reserve to maintain, to not have to lay off all these people and say, you come back maybe potentially when the market's back. They should have these reserves to operate as a growing enterprise, growing economy, and be ready for that. And the cycles happen, they rhyme. They happen time and time again. The market goes up, it comes down, it goes up higher, it comes down. It just happens, right? I can go into the technical things behind it, but in its simplest form, that's how it operates. We lose 80% of its value, then the market grows higher. Okay, and then we lose another 80%, and then it grows higher. And then over the future, we might lose 70%, 60%, and go higher, and then 40% and go higher. That's a growing, maturing market. And eventually, we'll get to a point where we won't have these major dives in the market. We'll be continuously, growing nicely. But in such a new sort of sphere as such, you've got to be able to have enough cash reserves and be future-proofed enough to maintain your company throughout this time. Which is important.
Do you ever believe that the crypto space, all that side of it is going to become similar to the stock market, where, it's going to be heavily regulated? We aren't going to see price shifts like we do, where it can be, literally a 99% reduction in price overnight. Do you think it will become this, heavily taxed, heavily regulated thing, where actually there's a lot less problems to do with people losing their livelihoods with it?
Yes. This has been one of my main focuses for the past couple of months, is the regulatory surrounding of crypto. Is how things are going to change when regulation comes. I really am pro regulation. Not a lot of people are. I think that it will be very good for the space. It'll stop a lot of the the bad things that are happening. It'll piss off a lot of the people that potentially were making a lot more money before regulation came. It will do that, but with any regulation, there's losers and there's winners. But I think it will get to a point where, in an illiquid market right now, we're very volatile, like ridiculously volatile. When regulation comes, we'll bring a lot more bigger players into the world of blockchain and even the world of crypto. And what happen is we will mature as a market. These major pumps and dumps, will become much shorter, much less effective, and we will get that real curvature as a growing and maturing market. But right now, it is the Wild West. We are moving upwards at a rapid rate, but we're also moving downward at a rapid rate, which is great for the volatile investor. I love it, right? It's not amazing for people that are getting destroyed by it. But the reason why I love it is because I've spent hours and hours and hours since I was 16-year-old understanding it, right? It's not good for the person who's getting straight into it. It's not easy to understand. There's so much things going on that they can't take advantage of dollar cost averaging and being able to read things from day dot. They kind of got help, but it's very, very challenging. I think that will be really, really good when that stops and we become more of a mature market. People can take risks on certain projects without having so much downside, and it's a lot less crazy, the market movement. But yeah, the regulation is something I'm looking at quite a lot recently, and I think it'll be great for the space. I do.
So what would your 3 lessons for someone who's getting into crypto be?
So I think number one would be just pair it with someone who's been in the market before. Speak to someone who you may follow them for years on end. You've always got that one person. I wouldn't just go out and find a random person, but just find someone you sort of can trust and follow. Don't follow what they do, but just follow the things that made them successful. It's like anything. Number two is, and this is probably a so you say crypto, but I would even argue for anyone getting into crypto, I would take a look at blockchain as a whole, right? So that's my sort of main piece of advice I would say is don't limit yourself to just crypto. Crypto is fantastic. It's the sexy side of blockchain, but the amount of money available, less risk in blockchain as opposed to very, very up and down income sometimes with crypto is catastrophically amazing. You can research a little bit about blockchain probably for a few weeks and have enough knowledge to go into a corporate company and put a presentation together about why blockchain can help the company. You can get paid $5,000 or $10,000 for doing that for one day. That's powerful. That doesn't rely on crypto. That's about blockchain. You're a consultant then. So that's number two. And number three, I would say leverage your surroundings within this market, right? Leverage as much information as you can, take in as much information as you can, but also leverage other people and build communities that you can thrive in. What I mean by that is like the reason we're able to, my companies are able to operate at such a high level is because of leverage. It's because of being able to identify talented individuals and harness their efforts to give them what they want as a person in terms of their goals that will all align everyone in a certain type of way, right? So if someone gets them out of bed and they want to make 100 grand a year, but in order for them to make 100 grand a year, they make you $1 million a year, you're able to leverage them, giving them what you want, what they want, and probably more than what they want with the freedom and stuff you can give them, okay? And they're giving what you want, okay? And that's for me how you operate. We got into the venture capital world. We didn't have a fund, but what we did do is find people, and companies and funds and built up these infrastructures with these funds that started to fund our projects. And eventually it got to the point where we started investing in projects ourselves because we learned the process properly. So that's a perfect example of leverage. These funds leveraged us because what happened were we were providing them fantastic deals to invest into in Web3. We leveraged them because it gives us a foot into the door with venture capital, with investing in companies. We also made money on the fees, etc., for investing in companies, and we also got to develop. So that's why we were happy. That's a win-win environment where we leveraged each other. That's one of the most important things to growing. And I'm sure companies will, when we open $100 million fund or whatever, companies will leverage us. Okay, of course they will. That is one of the most important things to grow a really, really successful company is leverage.
So you created the company Planet Crypto, which is obviously an online learning platform for people so they can understand the market trends, how to utilize those kinds of things, how to, all the basics. And you offer 5 courses now, and I think it's 5 to be released. Is that right?
Yes. So, I mean, there's probably, I think there's about 15 courses on the platform.
So yeah,
as of right now.
And so 15 courses for people to learn from. And I think from what I've had a look of, it looks fantastic. But from that, you put on the website 250% average profit for your clients. So there's 2 parts to this question. So A is, what made you want to teach people about this space and why? And B, how did you get to a point where you can now put it out there, like we have a 250% average profit across our clients?
So, I mean, Planet Crypto's, it's always been my baby, right? Because it was the first company I ever created in blockchain, right? So there's 800 plus educational videos on there. That's been a combination of weekly coaching call recordings, market forecasts, the courses. And what happened was, since 2017, we got data, right? So what happened was we managed to get data of all our clients we work with. There's probably been about 2,000 plus of them. We got data and we just started collating feedback as to, well, how have you done this year? How have you done this month? And, it's like anything. We just took the mean. We looked at what's the average that we've been getting, and we were able to put that into the market in language because it's true, right? So that was how we did that. And the reason why we were able to achieve that for the clients coming through was de-risking every single trade that they're making and effectively and investment they're making by using strategy. Okay, so we only ever teach. It's very hands off for me because I don't really. It's all educational content, right? People digest and do it in their own time. What we're able to do, we have 3 strategies: 2 investment, 1 trading. People learn it at their own rate. They come onto the weekly coaching or with the coaches, and they help them out. And if they've got any problems, they'll ask them about the market. And it's that support element of things. You get a lot of people and companies who create companies and education platforms seeing only the upside available. Now, we don't. We invest in our coaches so that everyone's supported with the educational content. If someone sat through every single piece of educational content on our platform, they'd be there for weeks. And that's great. There's probably 900 videos, like I said, that I've created over time. But it's very hands off for me now, is that, and we can guarantee them results because we've got that support element of things. I pay coaches. It's a passion project for me. Is the education company, because we pay the coaches, and I don't really make much money. Well, I say it made a lot of money, but I invest a lot of that money back into the community, right? Because it helps people. So yeah, that's how we were able to use that in the marketing language. CryptoDevelopers.io is obviously our development company. That's a lot more of my focus. We've got an organization there. We've got to manage people. We've got to pay salaries. We've got to look after all these different things. So I have to deal with people a lot more on that side of things because livelihoods are at stake in our company as well, as much as the education guys that are changing their own future, right? And so CryptoDevelopers.io, growing massively. But my main focus is funding companies, because whatever company we fund, they go through CryptoDevelopers.io, and we grow them through the development. So yeah, I would say there's multiple streams here, and obviously the education company is very much the passion project. Yeah.
I feel like it's the foundation of it, because by educating people then get into the space. By getting into the space, they then may want to develop something to do with blockchain, and then it
Exactly.
builds from the ground up then, which makes a lot of sense. But I want to take it away now from the crypto, from all
Yeah.
that sort of drama, and talk about you and your lifestyle. So how, with the amount you do, it seems like you could be working 80 to 100 hours a week. So how do you
Yeah.
manage it all?
So I'll tell you what I did when I started, right? So I didn't look after myself, right? So when I was 16, probably to 19 to 20, I was building, more gray hairs than what a 17-year-old, 18-year-old boy should have. Less sleep by at least 90% of what I should have. I was probably on it 21 hours a day, every single day, 7 days a week. Now, what I realized when I got to 20, and this was when I really started being a lot more relaxed and a lot more leveraged and a lot more, dare I say, happy. Because when I was building, I love building. Like, it keeps my brain going. Like, I will physically drop down if I don't have risk and I don't have, because of the way my brain operates and the chemicals in my mind. But what happened was, in 2020, I had this realization. I was like, well, there's two things that can happen here. The first one is I start looking after myself and I can enjoy the freedom, the money, the people I'm going to meet. Or number two is I continue and I'm going to be dead by 50 or something, because of the amount of stress I was building up internally. I don't know about you, but if you're on your deathbed, you'd pay any amount of money to have another week, all the money you've got, right? It doesn't matter about the cash that you make. It's the impact you're having and how you're able to use that to help other people and have a better life, a less carefree life. I'm not saying to the point where I would literally sit down and not have to care about money and just play Call of Duty all day because I'm bored, to the point where, I don't have to worry about things and I can help other people and I can do what I want to do, but have passion projects, because I'll always have something to do. I'll always work, but it's that internal feeling of stress is what eventually will kill you, not worrying what's going on. Not worrying what's going on removes that. Okay, not worrying about cash. Not worrying about. There's always going to be worries, but equally, so my lifestyle is very leveraged. So I do sort of party a lot. I party a lot on the weekends. I love it. I went through the stage of locking phones away in the morning, not looking at it till dinner time. I now believe we've got to a point where I can enjoy the fruits and still continue growing the company, because there's other people that we're working with in the company that are going through the phase of building, and that's helping us. It's helping our company. It's helping them. They're leveraging us. We're leveraging them. Works, right? Now, what it is I'm very, very big on mind, very big on spirituality, and very big on tracking health. So what I do is now every single morning I'll train 7 a.m. non-negotiable. Go straight to the sauna or the steam room. Stay there. I call that the thinking time. Sit in the sauna, think an hour. Bear in mind, before I used to sit down at 6 a.m. in the morning every morning, maybe 5:30 in the morning. I don't sit down on my desk now unless I'm on a fantastic podcast like this until probably 10 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll do some deep focus work probably until about 1 p.m. Go get some dinner. Sometimes don't even do anything on the afternoon. I get to Wednesday. It's like hump day. I'm like, right, okay, Thursday, Friday, like Friday, Thursday is what I call them. I just don't do any work. The company's still operating, but I don't do anything, right? And what it is that's me being able to leverage what's been built. And what happens is I'm still thinking about things on that day, but I'm looking after myself. I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm looking after myself Thursday, Friday. I'm still on the days of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, going to the sauna, the steam room, getting thinking time in, listening to audiobooks. What's happening is I'm becoming a lot more healthy. Okay, eating the better things, taking vitamins, meditating twice a day, really, really important. Going on walks, and I'm sleeping a lot better, tracking my sleep, drinking less coffee. So there's all these different things that have changed in the way I operate. And I'll tell you right now, I make more money. I make more money right now from working Monday to Wednesday and then not doing anything till the following Monday than what I did working 7 days a week, because I'm able to manage my mind and the decisions that I'm making day to day better. I was making very, very frantic decisions before in the interest of time, working 7 days a week, 21 hours a day, that were creating more time, less time and more work for myself and more stress for myself, which was ultimately decreasing my health because of not being able to think. Okay. If I'm able to take myself away and have CPU time and think, execution is a lot better and it's done by other people, which is fantastic.
I think thinking time, like you said, when you go into the sauna and you have that thinking time, is one of the most important things in life that people no longer have. Like for me, I started when I moved over here because of the nature of the work that I do. I'm doing a lot of thinking, I'm doing a lot of reading. My mind is non-stop. So I have to take time a few days a week where I sit for 20 minutes in a sauna. Can't take your phone because your phone will overheat. You can't take your earphones because they'll
Yeah,
probably switch off eventually. You literally are sat there with your own thoughts, and that is all. I can't name another time of day, any point in life where you will have that time. And I think most people, that's what one thing most people miss out on is just having time with you and your thoughts.
I agree. I mean, it's such a powerful thing to be able to just strip back things that you might have previously thought about and thought, well, what could I have done different? Reflection. You know, I'm very big on reflection, very big on every morning writing a to-do list, every morning sitting there and meditating for 10 minutes. You know, people think I'm crazy, but it really does help. And the main thing is I'm very much anti the whole $1 million morning, 5 hour sort of 5 a.m. start. I'm very anti that because I know it's not what you need. Maybe it's to get you going, but thinking and decisions is very important. I've got probably 20 of these exact same tops because every single morning I get up and I don't want to make a decision on what I'm going to wear today. I wear this hat in different colors because decisions are so important to success. People think that, well, if I'm making the decision, and it even goes as low as like if you've got multiple uh, different things to eat for your breakfast every morning, right? You got bagels, you got toast, you got cereals, you got bars, whatever. Go into the cupboard every single day and wake up and think, what am I going to have today? You've lost a decision. You
It's
lost a decision. Then
Steve
you go,
Jobs.
yeah.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. What's it called? Decision fatigue. He wore the same black t-shirt and blue jeans for most of his life because he was like, it's one less decision I have to make in a day, which could result in decision fatigue. Like for me, I am boring as shit. I eat the same food every day. I may switch up the meal timings and what have you. And, I pretty much wear the same clothes every day because I can't be asked to make those extra decisions that will eventually be the causal factor for me to tick over and probably end up fatigued, which is where then I cannot do what I want to do.
Exactly. You're right.
It's like health for me is one of the biggest things in terms of longevity and what I'm doing. Like, especially with what I'm doing now, there's a lot of work that has to go into it. So I have to focus on my health. So you say you work out 7 days a week. Like, how do you not get fatigued from that? Does that not like, do you not feel like you're overdoing it sometimes?
So I think there's a difference between very, very high exertion activities. So I probably really exert energy and I really, really go hard on the training 3 or 4 times a week, right? But then I'll go to yoga 1 day a week, okay, which might be not even 300, 400 calories or whatever, and then highs might be like 900 calories. So going on a walk, right? So I'm doing some form of activity every single day. Non-negotiable, I go at 7 o'clock most days, because if I know I'm going for a big walk or whatever, or I'm going yoga, it might be at like 11 o'clock, right? But equally, it's so important to train. It just is so important. It doesn't mean you have to go out and be a boxer or do kung fu or whatever, that really exerts a lot of energy. What it means is if you're keeping your mind and your body active, you're able to think clearer and you're able to mentally feel better. And I party a lot on the weekends because I absolutely love going to party. It's just great. With my friends, it's a social time. But non-negotiable, I will go and train Monday morning. I'll be there, or non-negotiable on a Sunday, I'll be going to yoga or whatever. Saturday, I'll be going stretching. So there's all these different things you can do. That doesn't mean you have to be absolutely killing your body every day. But the main thing is you're keeping your body and your mind going, and that's what leads to, I would say, there's a common denominator a lot around the most successful high achievers. They all exercise, non-negotiable. Speak to Stephen Bartlett, Grant Cardone, Mark Zuckerberg. They all succeed through exercise.
100%. But obviously there's the exercise, which is like that. I feel like that is what gets you going in a day. That's what, sets the tone for the day. But what do you do to switch off?
I mean, I'd love to say I'd sit there and do reading. I just don't. Like, that's what they'll tell you to do. Generally, what I'll do is I'll go up and I'll just watch some YouTube, listen to some podcasts or whatever. Not even that. Sometimes just watch a bit of Netflix, play a bit of Call of Duty with my friends. Like, it sounds like I'm breaking every entrepreneurial rule possible, but I do love playing on the PlayStation. Nice release. I don't do it too late because it does affect my sleep. And then I'll get up and go to bed at the same time every single day. So yeah, that's, I suppose, my release is just sitting and doing things that just have no real value, I suppose.
Do you find it easy to switch off from the work that you do?
No, I didn't used to. I didn't used to at all. So I used to, it's funny because I used to go to sleep and wake up with a solution that I dreamt about, which is a very, very bad way to live because, you end up just thinking about work 24/7. Now, yes, I would dare say because the velocity of work that this is the thing. The velocity of my time I'm spending on this stuff is a lot less, right? But the output is a lot higher because of leverage. Now, what happens here is you have a lot more thinking time. So you have a lot more time to be able to manage your mind, be able to relax and go to sleep, watch the football, whatever, watch the World Cup. I probably spent all last week watching the World Cup, but everything still continues, So for me, it's able to leverage other people's time to do more of what you want to do that allows you to be able to sit back and relax and look after yourself, which is really important. And that's, for me, since I was 20-year-old, 23 now, is what's been allowing me to look after my health and be able to, switch off a lot more over the last 3 years, I would say.
So what's the end goal? When you get to 70, 80, whenever it may be, what is the end goal?
So I'll tell you, and I'll put this out, like, my mission is to build a bank. Okay. So a bank that not only funds companies, but also lends out to people who need cash, right? So I'm in the process of creating a bank right now. It's going to be a 5-year project, be a decentralized bank. So that, me, in terms of business, is the end goal, right? Is creating a bank and having a bank. Very high goal, but you got to be crazy enough to think it. Now, there's a lot of other things that I want to achieve in my life that will help me feel made up and help me feel like I've done enough. Number one is being able to travel, take my family traveling, retire members of my family, which will happen. Effectively mean that, my kids will never have to work a day in their life. My family won't, and that's their choice if they want to do that. So that's another mission of mine personally, is to help them do that. And then a bigger thing, building things bigger than yourself. So helping underdeveloped countries grow into something bigger, provide more opportunity. Places like Tanzania, places like Africa, being able to build energy, give them access to a bank, have an impact on these places that really, really do struggle in the day-to-day essentials that we take for granted, right? So building schools, building, places people can get clean water, building, places people can eat or whatever. I would love to be able to have enough liquidity to manipulate an entire market to drive the price of it down so much that it then soon became available to everybody as a basic necessity. So if something, for example, was worth, I don't know, $25, for example, that was a basic necessity, if I had enough liquidity to drive that down and create enough supply that it was $1 to do that, and therefore it opened it up to X amount more of the world, that would be fantastic. You've got to have billions of dollars to do that. But I would love to do that, and that's another mission. I suppose a philanthropic mission of mine is to do that. A lot of liquidity, got to have the bank to do that as well. But it's definitely a lot bigger than me. I think what it is that we're creating within the group.
So where does this like philanthropic mindset come from?
I suppose there's struggles along the way, right? You pick up different things. I would never ever remotely ever put myself into the unfortunate category in growing up, because there's people a lot worse off than I was and am. People that don't have basic needs. But everyone has their own struggles, right? One of my struggles growing up was not realizing that I actually had ADHD and struggling through school and feeling different and not being able to understand why I was told to read a 100-page textbook when I could find the answer in 5 minutes on the phone. And there's a greater, deeper meaning to what we're doing here because of personal experiences. I know there's people like me out there that'll crash and burn because of them being eaten alive by the society as we see it today. And that's not me getting overly political about it, because I'm not really a political person. All it is me taking life experiences that I've had and realizing there's going to be people that are similar to me that don't make it out the other side. I'm not saying that I've made it out the other side, but equally what I will say is I would say I'm on a good path to do that. And I don't think many people that felt like I did at certain points will be able to pull themselves out of that pit, grab things by the balls when they leave school and, do a university 2-year course in 6 weeks, and then leave a corporate company young, start companies and fail, get told that nothing was going to happen because you failed, and then create companies that are, 2 companies that reach over, $1 million revenue very easily. Well, not easily, but like that, right? That's my roadmap. But I know for a fact that some people will not have that same opportunity, and me opening up them opportunities it feels almost a must to be done.
What would you say to people who want to start businesses and stuff? Like you said, start businesses and fail them. But I feel like a lot of people, especially in the UK, have this huge fear of failure. So how did you deal with fear of failure, and how did you get past it?
Just keep going. I mean, I always have this analogy, and I say this to everybody in the company, is like, throw enough at the wall and eventually the one will stick, right? Failure isn't a bad thing. It just means that you validate another thing that you don't need to do again, or don't need to try again, right? It's not telling you that you're rubbish or you're not worthy of the greater, riches of life. But what it is just telling you not to do it again. There's not a single person on planet Earth that hasn't failed and hasn't tried, and 100% of the people that have been successful have been failures as well. 100%, because your chances of failure are a lot more higher than your chances of success. But it's like diversification. It's about debt leverage again. If you're able to throw enough that sticks at the wall and live the riches of the ones that stick, and then leverage other people's stickiness as well, so that when they throw things at the wall, you take some of what that sticks for them and they take some of what sticks for them. It sounds really, really base layer and stupid, but it's what it is. It's scale. If you have multiple people who have their own goals and they're throwing as many things at the wall as possible to stick, and you're able to then take advantage of some of them things that are sticking while giving them things that they're trying to do themselves, you end up with this ball of stickiness that is very successful for you and for the people that are working for you. That is probably how to explain it to a 5-year-old. Like, that's how you scale, that's how you grow, and you end up in a position where someone's greater than yourself and you don't have to do anything because other people are growing it for you because of their goals. That's what I would say. But anyone starting, find a coach, find a mentor, find someone who you trust, learn the system, learn the basic principles of marketing and sales, which is the foundation of any business. Okay, that's really important. If you understand how to attract clients, close clients, retain clients, and then also get referrals from clients, you will never, ever, ever need to do any marketing ever again. Never. Because it takes care of itself. And that's the basic principle of growing any business. Attraction, closing, retention, referral. Really important.
So you've mentioned there about obviously finding mentors and finding people to have around you that can push you sort of in the right direction. But how do you find those people? Because not everyone has people around them that are highly motivated, have been there and done it and succeeded. A lot of the time people are in situations where they don't know anyone like that. They don't know how to meet people like that. So how do you find these kinds of people and create this circle of positivity and, success?
So there's two types of people, right? Number one is an impulsive. Okay, I'm an impulsive myself, but it can get you in bad scenarios sometimes if you screw up. And there's a strategic, right? And there's a bit more of a sort of, they're both strategic to some extent, but there's a more cautious type of individual. If I was a more cautious type of individual, what I would do is I would go on Facebook. I would first of all, scan my own network. Is anyone I've worked with in the past, I've seen in the past? If you don't have anyone, you may have been in a corporate job and just not be aware of what's out there. Go on Facebook. Maybe you can create a new Facebook, more professional Facebook or LinkedIn. I use Facebook if you want to coach, because most of the coaches are on Facebook, right? Now, start joining communities. Start going into groups. You'll find multiple coaches every single day, right? Find one or two, connect with them, let them do their sales pitch to you, okay? Or maybe just don't, or just follow them, just try to be friendly with them. Now, person number one would find that coach, do a little bit of due diligence, and just say, right, okay, here's £5,000, teach me. That can get you into some bad scenarios, can be taken advantage of, but it also means that if you do find the right one, you're full steam ahead and you're making money, right? That's why people do sometimes get burnt, but it's very, very important. I've wired someone $50,000 before after an hour conversation over the phone that I never met an hour before that conversation, because I'm impulsive, right? It worked, but you get to a point with coaches where you just know what the good ones are and what the bad ones are. And I'll tell you the characteristics in a moment. Anyway, so person number two, what they do is they get on the phone with this person, let them pitch it to them or don't, or tell them, I'm not looking for it right now, but what is it you offer? Over time, build your trust. Sit there a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, however long you feel, to the point where you think, right, okay, this person's here to stay. I want to make a change in my life. This is the only person that I believe is there able to help me to get there. Then take the leap. But equally, when you do take the leap, try and get the risk reversed anyway. Try and say to them, well, what kind of guarantees have we got in place here that protects me? And I really want to work with you. Characteristics of a good coach, in my opinion, is major community. People are saying great things, engaging in the community, and also you've got people who have got the results and are not afraid of a guarantee. Not afraid of a guarantee and saying, right, okay, well, if this doesn't happen and you don't get this big result that I can offer to you and you're looking for, you'll get your money back or you'll stay with us until you do. It just de-risks things, and I'd say that's the best way to do it. But if you want to find a coach, Facebook's the best way to go, in my opinion. Or you find a lot on YouTube, but I prefer Facebook because it's a lot more personable and a lot more. You're able to access the person easily that you want to work with. a lot of the YouTubers are very, very big now. They have gatekeepers. They have people who take the sales calls, and you'll very rarely speak to them ever. Other than when you're in the program and you're on a Q&A call, which will be a group of 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 of you.
So what makes a good coach?
So being sure of themselves enough to give you a guarantee. That's number one. Someone who's able to use their community for the greater good, So running events for them to help them for free and helping them to go out and get their own clients on their own and then potentially buy their product down the line. For me, someone who's a really, really good coach is someone who gives out the best value for free and then charges for the implementation of it. It's almost like saying, yeah, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. If you want me to do this for you, I'm going to do it. Number one person could say, okay, well, I will go down the road and I'll buy all these books. I'll go to YouTube and I'll try and learn it myself. It might take me 2 years to do that and make all the mistakes. Person number two might make, okay, well, you know what you're doing. I'll pay you $5,000. Let's get going. It's a 16-week program. You can implement it with me and for me. And at the end of it, you've got a fully functioning business. They're the two types of things. I prefer the latter, where I give someone the money and then they help me to do it or just do it for me. I've been using Rudy Moya quite a lot, which is really a good online market. I think he's great, fantastic marketing, great community, great customer service. They've been building funnels, doing advertising, fantastic. That's a shout out, and that's completely, not even sponsored at all. But I use them quite a lot, right? They're a lot bigger than a lot of these single coaches that you find. But equally, everyone has their own leagues that they're playing. And for me, someone who you can get a testimony from, someone that might have worked with them, that makes a good coach and someone that can, be patient with you and coach you along the way to what your needs are.
I think that's one of the hardest things, I think, is to find a very good coach and also a very good mentor that can sort of push you in the right direction. But I think obviously for general population, it's not as easy as just paying someone to do it and just get it done for you. So I think for them, it's obviously more that route of, someone just to guide you in the right direction and to more a mentor role than an actual coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah, I think what you're saying is absolutely incredible. But I kind of want to start to finish up and sort of see where you want to take your business. So obviously you said you wanted to create a bank and stuff, but where with the businesses you have now and, the Elliott Rayne Enterprises, where do you want to take that in the next 5 to 10 years?
So, there's this one North Star, right? So the North Star for me is the bank. Okay, if I have the bank and we have the ability to lend up to 5 billion to 10 billion a month, the bank means we can lend to companies that are in the early stage. We can invest in companies in an early stage, right? We can then develop for these companies because they've got money to pay us to do development, right? We can then recruit for these companies, and it's a self-fulfilling thing, right? So the North Star is the bank. Okay, obviously that's going to have its own sort of abilities in itself, not just within, I suppose, just within blockchain. It'll be a decentralized bank, but part of that will be the venture capital fund to invest in equity and in tokens and in NFTs, and then there'll be the lending side where we're lending to companies, that are doing solar, that are buying hotels, that are doing tech in the physical world. So that's the North Star because that's what makes up everything tick. You got that North Star, everything else falls into place under it. You've got 5 successful businesses underneath that will thrive because of that. So that's where things are going. I would say in 5 to 10 years, the bank will definitely be up. It'll be definitely up and running. We'll have a lot of partners, many shareholders, many more developers in the development company. We will be placing a lot more developers and tech talent into these technical companies because of them needing to recruit. The reason why we created the recruitment company, because I was recruiting so much for the development company. The guy I was using to recruit, I just went into business with him. I just said, look, let's create scalingblockchain.io and help companies bring these companies these developers and these technical talents in-house instead of using agencies. Okay, so the idea is the North Star, and again, it all starts with education. Because if you don't have education, you don't know where to create a company, right, in the space. A lot of our stuff, other than the education company, that's B2C, the education company. We have done B2B stuff and corporate stuff to teach corporates about it, but it's B2C. When I say B2C, I mean business to consumer or business to customer, okay? So people like you and I, or the average sort of person who goes in and buys a product. When I say B2B, I mean business to business, right? So it all starts with education. So say, for example, if you've got someone, a single person who comes in and gets educated about blockchain, about crypto, and they say, right, okay, I want to build a new metaverse or something like that, right? They might then come to us because they trust us and say, right, okay, well, you guys fund companies, the bank, right? You want to invest in equity in for 10% of my company, you want to give me £1 million, right? We might then say to them, okay, yeah, we'll do that. You guys are fantastic. We believe in you. We'll give you £1 million. Here you go, right? Okay. On that basis, you need to use us then go through, the acceleration of companies, right? So we would develop for them, okay? Then we would help them with marketing and growing. And then we would help them with the recruitment. And eventually they've got $1 million plus business, minimum. I'd say like $1 million a month, because I wouldn't invest $1 million in a company if the company wasn't going to end up returning $1 million a month, which economically probably doesn't make sense. But equally, it's a self-fulfilling thing. We've got all these different things that have one North Star, the bank.
The bank is the one crazy idea, but I feel like you're one of those guys who will pull it off. And you have everything in you to make sure you pull it off, which is great to see. But one final question that I have for you is, how would you like to be remembered?
So I want to change blockchain and the theory that crypto and blockchain, or crypto is the only thing to ever see in blockchain. Blockchain is different things, the pan, the egg, right? So I want to migrate mindset and being remembered for, leading blockchain to be written, okay? Because be written into what it is of the future. Because you got to take into account, blockchain will be one of these technologies that we use without even knowing soon. We won't even know that it's run on blockchain. Oh yeah, that's run on blockchain. When I go to, I was with someone from Shopify this week. They were saying to me, well, when I use Shopify, which is like an e-commerce platform where you can build e-commerce and stuff to sell products, do I know that it's run on Ruby on Rails? No, you don't know what it's made of. You just know that it works. Okay. Exactly the same thing with blockchain. We won't know, the average consumer B2C, they won't know that it's run on blockchain, but we will use it. Okay. B2B maybe they're going to know what the tech stack is, but equally, that's where I want to be pioneering this industry to where it needs to get to. I'm I love crypto, but I'm very pro blockchain. That's me. Blockchain is where I'm at, right? So that's how I want to be remembered, the pioneer for blockchain, and be remembered as one of those people that, you find out of the big .com boom, the Jeff Bezoses that have led this transformation in technology to where we're going to. And then for things like, philanthropic needs and not needs, but missions, so charities, investing in other companies, investing in highly talented individuals to create new companies, creating cities, putting up skyscrapers, driving down the price of assets to make it available to more people. These are all things that I want to be involved with and are part of the bigger and greater mission. But I'll tell you once again, if I were crazy, which I probably am a little bit, I would try and attack all these one things at once. But what you got to think about is a North Star. That's the bank. Okay, the bank is the thing that allows me to be able to do all them things.
Incredible. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. I can't thank you enough for your time. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find you, how they can sort of find all your stuff? Obviously, I'll link websites below, but where they can find you, obviously Instagram, whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really use Instagram for anything other than personal partying. But Instagram, Elliott_Rayne, and then LinkedIn, just Elliott Rayne. And that's, my email. I'm sure you'll put that below as well, but happy to come have a conversation anytime with anybody. Thanks, Ethan, again, and the guys on the podcast. Done a fantastic job, and looking forward to continuing in the future with you guys.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you to Elliott for your time. It was a really interesting podcast, really insightful as well, especially in the world of crypto and developing a business. He really sort of opened up, and I really enjoyed the conversation, especially with what he has coming up in the future. Elliott, I wish you all the success, and everyone who's listening, please remember to like and subscribe if you don't, because 75% of you who watch on YouTube do not subscribe to the channel. So please hit that subscribe button and share with anyone who may be interested in these kind of podcasts. Thank you for listening.